This guy survived 3 days at the bottom of the ocean and was found alive. In 2013, Harrison O'Keene was a cook on a Nigerian tugboat when a massive wave flipped the entire vessel and sent it sinking straight to the ocean floor. All 11 of his crewmates drowned, but Harrison found one tiny air pocket in the darkness and stayed there. No light, no food, just the sound of fish eating his crewmates around him. 3 days later, divers showed up to collect bodies. They were tagging corpses when a hand suddenly shot out of the darkness and grabbed one of them. Harrison was alive, but they couldn't bring him straight up. Too much nitrogen had built up in his blood. A direct descent would have killed him, so he spent 3 more days in a decompression chamber before he could finally breathe normal air again. 6 days after that boat sank, he walked out alive. He later trained and became a professional diver. Internet moments that aged horribly. In 2018, this African man took the bus to work one morning and decided to post a photo online. He said he was proud because it was the first time he had ever seen a woman driving a public bus in his country. He took a picture from the bus and posted it with a caption saying how happy he was to finally see that change happening. The post started getting attention almost immediately. But what happened next was totally unbelievable, because about 15 minutes later, he posted this. Times countries went to war with animals. In 1932, farmers in Australia were dealing with thousands of emus destroying crops and wiping out entire fields, so they asked the government for help, and the government sent the military. Soldiers showed up with machine guns and thousands of rounds of ammunition, expecting it to be easy. It wasn't. The moment they opened fire, the emus scattered. They moved fast, split into groups, and were almost impossible to track. Guns and vehicles broke down trying to chase them. After days of effort, they had barely made a dent. The birds just kept coming. Eventually, the military gave up and pulled out. The emus stayed, and to this day, they're still undefeated.
People who became famous for doing nothing. In 2016, a guy named Drew Scanlon was filming a casual video game livestream. He was sitting next to his coworker during the livestream when his coworker said something stupid. Drew slowly turned toward the camera and blinked with the most perfectly confused expression anyone had ever seen. Someone clipped that 2-second moment and turned it into a GIF. It exploded. The clip became known as the blinking white guy meme. It spread everywhere. Anytime someone heard something unbelievable, they replied with Drew's face. Drew had no idea he had become a meme. He only found out after friends started texting him saying, "Dude, you're a meme." The GIF was used billions of times. It became one of the most recognizable reaction images on the internet, but Drew never made a dollar from it. He didn't own the rights, didn't trademark it, it just belonged to the internet. But years later, Drew did something genius. He used his meme fame to raise money for charity. He started a fundraiser for multiple sclerosis research, and the campaign raised over $200,000.
This footballer spent 39 years in coma, and it was someone's fault. Jean-Pierre Adams was a French international footballer, not a nobody, a professional who played for clubs like Paris Saint-Germain and Nice. He checked into a hospital for a simple knee operation, but during the procedure, an anesthesiology intern made a mistake with the dosage. Adams went into a coma on the operating table and never came back. The hospital eventually sent him home, and his wife Bernadette has been taking care of him in their house ever since, feeding him, talking to him every single day for over 39 years. Some people online told her to unplug him. Her response, he is not plugged. The 2 doctors responsible were given a 1-month suspended sentence and fined €750. Jean-Pierre Adams died on September 6, 2021, still in a coma. DNA moments that made no sense. In 2010, a Nigerian couple living in London named Ben and Angela Ehigbor were expecting their 3rd child. They already had 2 children together, both of whom looked exactly like them, so everything seemed normal. But when their daughter was born, something didn't make sense. The baby had blue eyes, blonde curly hair, and very light skin. She looked completely different from both of her parents. Many assumed the mother had been unfaithful because they couldn't see any other explanation, but the truth was much stranger. Doctors explained that genetics can sometimes pull traits from distant ancestry. Even if both parents appear fully African, they can still carry hidden genes from generations back. To remove any doubt, the family took a DNA test. The results confirmed that Ben was the father. Government plans that went completely wrong. In 1970, officials had to deal with an 8-ton dead whale that washed up on a beach. The smell was unbearable, and they needed it gone fast. They had a few options: cut it up, bury it, or tow it away. Instead, they chose dynamite and half a ton of it. A military veteran standing nearby told them 20 sticks would be more than enough. They thanked him and used 20 cases instead. People gathered to watch, thinking it would be a quick, clean explosion. But the moment it went off, everything went wrong. The whale didn't disappear, it exploded. Massive chunks of blubber flew high into the air and started falling back down onto the crowd. People ran in every direction. Even the birds they expected to clean it up flew away. When it was over, the beach wasn't cleaner. It was worse.
People who became famous for doing nothing. In 2006, a man named Guy Goma walked into the BBC television centre in London for what he thought was a job interview. While waiting in reception, a producer rushed in and asked, "Are you Guy?" He said yes, but they thought he was Guy Cuny, a tech expert scheduled for a live TV interview on the same day. Before he could explain, Guy was pushed into the studio, mic'd up, and sitting in front of cameras. The host introduced him as an internet expert and asked about a major court case. Guy's eyes went wide. Panic flashed across his face, but he tried to answer anyway, stumbling through questions about topics he knew nothing about. The interview aired live to millions of viewers. Within hours, the clip went viral. People couldn't stop watching his confused expression. Memes exploded. News outlets covered the mix-up worldwide. The real expert never made it on air. But as for Guy Goma, he didn't get the job, but he became one of the most famous accidental TV guests in history. Internet moments that escalated way too quickly. In 2008, a contestant named Ravi Bhatia appeared on an Indian reality show called Beat the Bullies. The concept was simple. Contestants had to handle insults, stay calm, take the verbal abuse, and win money. But one moment changed everything. During the show, the host suddenly slapped Ravi. It wasn't part of the script, so he reacted instinctively and slapped her back. Everything exploded. Every guy on set rushed in and started hitting him brutally. They threatened to hurt his mom and sister for hitting a woman. His reputation was destroyed overnight. But then something unexpected happened. A clip from the show leaked online. The moment went viral.
How can you slap? How can you slap?
It instantly went viral as a meme, and suddenly the narrative changed and what looked like aggression started to look like a reaction. Ravi later took legal action and reportedly settled the case. Ravi is still relevant till today, but same cannot be said for the host.
The man who got stuck in an airport for 18 years. In 1988, an Iranian refugee named Mehran Karimi Nasseri arrived at Paris Charles de Gaulle Airport expecting to continue his journey. But during his travels, his refugee documents were stolen, and suddenly everything stopped. Without papers, France wouldn't let him enter the country. But without papers, he also couldn't leave. So Mehran became trapped inside the airport terminal, and he stayed there for 18 years. He slept on a red plastic bench, washed in airport bathrooms, and lived off food from airport shops and donations from workers and travelers. Over time, airport staff got to know him, and frequent flyers recognized him as part of the terminal itself. His strange life caught the world's attention and later inspired the movie The Terminal, starring Tom Hanks. In 2006, Mehran finally left the airport, but years later, in 2022, he returned to the same terminal. He died there later that year.
Times companies got caught lying. In 1989, Nike filmed a commercial in Kenya, which featured a barefoot tribe known as the Samburu people. The idea was simple. Show a group known for walking barefoot, now wearing Nike shoes to prove one thing. Even they had switched to Nike sneakers. At the end of the ad, a tribesman speaks in his native language. Nike translated it as, "Just do it," the slogan. Clean, powerful, and perfect. But there was a problem. An anthropologist named Lee Kronk saw the commercial, and he understood the language because he had spent years living with the tribe. What the man actually said was very different. He wasn't praising the shoes. He was complaining about them, saying something closer to, "I don't want these, give me my old shoes." The language was rare, and very few people in the world could understand it, so Nike assumed no one would notice. But someone did, and the ad quickly turned from clever marketing into a public ridicule.
In 2011, a 65-year-old retired engineer took some stock photos to make extra cash. His awkward smile would make him one of the most famous memes ever, but he didn't find out until 3 years later. Andras Arato wasn't famous. He was just a Hungarian retiree who agreed to do a stock photo shoot. He smiled for the camera, got paid, and forgot about it, but his smile looked off, like he was hiding pain behind fake happiness. Someone found his photos online and turned them into memes. The photos became known as Hide the Pain Herald. It exploded across the internet. His face became the symbol for pretending everything's fine when it's not. Millions of people shared it. He had no idea. In 2014, his son called him, "Dad, you're a meme." Andras Googled himself. His face was everywhere, with billions of views. He hadn't made a single dollar. Instead of getting angry, Andras leaned into it. He started his own social media, showed up at meme events, and became a